Well, hey, Trenton, let's go into our news of the week, which is brought to you by Eagle Mortgage. EagleMortgageCompany.com is where you can find them online. If you want to stop by the office, no problem. That's 114th and Dodge. But Eagle Mortgage will help you with mortgages. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's VA, FHA, or, of course, a conventional loan. They have mortgage brokers there that have been in the business. They know it. They're experienced, and they're very customer service focused. So we highly recommend Eagle Mortgage and suggest that you look into them if you're thinking about buying a new house. Well, a lot of things on the news today. And the first one is the Moxie by Marriott Hotel at 12th and Harney in the Old Market has officially announced an opening date. It'll be June 30th. This is a 6-story, 105-room hotel. It's new to the Nebraska market. The closest existing locations are in Minneapolis and Chicago.
I think it only took about 5 years to build.
That one did seem like a long, stretched-out process.
Where the diner was. It was an old-fashioned, like a San Francisco diner type place. It was a pretty cool place. But that building, which the pad is like 9,000 feet or whatever, it's shoehorned. There's parking in the garage across the street. It'll be cool, but it took forever.
It sure seemed to. And it's funny because a lot of times those, it's a nice sized building anytime you're talking about 6 stories or whatever, but it's not huge in terms of square footage. And a lot of times it's some of those smaller hotels around town end up taking a long time to build, or some of those, they call them 4-on-1s, hotel or apartment buildings where you do 1 story of concrete and steel and 4 stories of wood frame on top of that. We're building them all over town like they're going out of style. We're doing them like crazy.
Which had existing first floor.
Some of those seem to take longer than you would think they would. They'll go on for a couple of years, and you'd think, oh my gosh, they ought to go up a little faster than that. But I'm sure there are reasons.
I was surprised, and you saw it on my face if you watched the video, last week when Deb Ward from Convention and Visitors Bureau said that we haven't really built a lot of hotels. The number of hotel rooms really hasn't increased that much in the last year or so. I would think there's a lot more hotels going up.
Well, I think the reason for that is
maybe they're not open yet.
Several have closed. We've lost some. We lost a few during the pandemic, and the numbers ended up being kind of about a wash, is what she was saying. We built several, but we lost some of them, and a lot of them that we lost were at, not to be pejorative, but at the lower level, maybe some lower grade stuff. So
you wouldn't stay there.
Overall, I wouldn't stay there. Good for you, but I wouldn't stay there. At any rate, talking about that diner that used to be on the site of the Moxie by Marriott Hotel, I have a place downtown in my head that would be perfect for a little diner. Okay, there's like a less than a quarter block right on the corner of 11th and Farnham. 11th and Farnham. On the southeast corner. So if you go a little to the east, there's an Indian restaurant. Then there's the building where the Convention and Visitors Bureau store is and all that. Right on that little corner to the west is Orange Theory Fitness. It's like less than a quarter of a block. That would be a perfect spot for one of those old diners. And the reason I think that is the Jean Leahy Mall across the street is en fuego. I mean, you went there. I was there a couple times over the last couple weeks during the business day at lunch. I would go down there if I had a meeting downtown because I'm a construction nerd. I kind of liked seeing what's going on with the Mutual of Omaha Tower. It was like Central Park in New York. It was so busy there. And there was guys with little push cart kiosks right on the corner selling things. That'd be a perfect spot for a diner.
How about putting it in the park to the east of like 10th Street, kind of like you see in other cities where, I don't know, it was Boston, where you're in this kind of a massive green area, and then there'll be like a little restaurant there or something.
That'd be kind of cool.
That'd be kind of fun.
Maybe, there's...
Did they just rip that building apart probably? I don't know if they saved that building.
That diner?
Yeah.
My guess is they probably put it on a truck and shipped it somewhere, but who knows? Well, that one wasn't really... That one was more of a building. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I do know they can move... A lot of times people buy those diners and they move them to different parts of the city or different parts of the country.
A little Omaha trivia for our folks. The company that Jeff and I ran... through, what was that, 2000?
Through 2010.
2010, 2011. World Group, we had a trailer for 20 years on the I-80 at I-80 and Harrison, basically, that said World Group Development Services. That trailer doesn't disappear. It's now behind the CHI Health Center convention building.
Yeah, so if you're on that little driveway, it's called Riverfront Drive that you take to get to the Kiewit Luminarium, you can see the old World Group truck. And I think you had that made, what, in 1998 or something like that?
$4,000 with labels and everything. It was awesome.
Yeah, so I know personally, whenever I drive by there, it's this bit of personal nostalgia.
It looks 3D now that some of the letters are kind of coming off, but it stayed forever. But here's a public service announcement. I didn't see a lot of signage when I went to go check it. I haven't been in it yet, but as you have. But do people really know how to get to the Kiewit Luminarium?
You know, that's a good question.
You have to get there off of Abbott Drive, right?
Yeah, well, there's two ways because now there's a new Douglas Street. Actually, have you driven on that?
We drove out that way.
Okay, yeah. So for those who haven't been down there, let's say you're down by the Jean Leahy Mall and you take Douglas Street east. It kind of goes down that hill. It used to dead end right there at 8th Street. Now it doesn't.
It's two-way.
It goes, it's two-way. It goes into what will be kind of the parking area for Heartland of America Park when it opens later this summer. And then it curves around to the north onto Riverfront Drive right in front of the Kiewit Luminarium. I think it's great. It was a real nice design, but they
need some serious signage.
My guess is they just haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
It's so new.
And then the other way to get to it is off Abbott, right?
Yes.
Gallup.
Yeah, so you come down by Gallup and the Riverfront Place condo towers and can get to it that way.
Did you hear any rumors about Gallup being sold? The not the company, but the campus.
I have not.
So that's just a rumor. Don't hold us to it. We'll take that call. Roger will tell us, but there are rumors that the building's for sale. Speaking
of rumors and speaking about a different part of downtown that we were talking about, when I said there's that tiny little piece of a square block at 11th and Farnham, on the other side of that block, the south side of that block along Harney Street, there's a good solid half of a block there that's a surface parking lot. A lot of rumors that there is something brewing there. I know one of the brokers in our office was representing a client who, because it's listed right now for sale, and one of the brokers in our office, she contacted the listing broker about looking into it. And the person said, we're really close to a contract for $5 million. So if that's true, and if someone wants to buy that half block for $5 million, presumably they would be planning on building something pretty impressive there at that price.
It'd be pretty tall, and I think it's owned by a hotel group.
Yeah.
Already, and they're for $5 million, they'd be like, we're out.
Yeah. All right. So moving right along, construction has started on Smash Park, an indoor-outdoor restaurant, bar, and entertainment center to be located just east of Cabela's and south of Embassy Suites in La Vista. Smash Park will have a 25,000 square foot building on a 3-acre lot. And they are into pickleball courts, like a lot of entertainment businesses are these days. Smash Park has 2 locations in Iowa and one coming soon in Minneapolis.
There's also, I think it's a Home 2 Suites. There's a hotel between that and Cabela's that hasn't started yet but should. And then a Panda Express right across the street as you go in at that road right before Westport Parkway, before you go into the drive for Cabela's, right to your right on that corner, near the existing hotels, there'll be a Panda Express.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about that Kiewit Luminarium because Trenton had mentioned the access to it on Douglas and Riverfront Drive. I had the chance to go in it and visit it on Sunday, and I will tell you, if you haven't been there yet, it measures up. And as I said to my wife, Stephanie, while we were there, I'm like, basically the moment this opened, it was one of the best museums in this region of the country. It's really, really cool. And yes, a person would probably get the most benefit out of it if they're a kid. But as an adult, I actually absolutely loved it.
How much time do you think people should spend in there?
It just depends. We did about an hour, and I think a lot of people are going to want to spend a lot more than that. There were a lot of things we skipped, but we were just there to see it. And since it was opening weekend last weekend, it was pretty crowded. And so we didn't want to, jostle, kids out of the way so that we could see something. So a lot of stuff we just kind of looked at casually. But I think if I were to go by myself on a random Tuesday afternoon where it was quiet and there weren't a lot of people, I'd probably spend a good 2.5 hours.
And it's supposed to be changing all the time, right?
Yeah, I think from what I can tell, there are certain things there that are going to be permanent, and then there are certain things there that will change. So you always have a reason to go back.
A lot of light and reflection and screens and
Trenton, the whole thing is just off the charts cool. And in fact, I found myself a couple times saying, I wish they had this when we were kids, because when you go up on the second level, there's this multi-level geometric themed playground that if you were like a first grader or a second grader, you would be having the time of your life in there. And then I got to tell you, there is a restaurant inside. It's called Fig. It is operated by the same people who have Lola's, which is
awesome,
by the Dundee Theater. And anyway, the restaurant smelled very good. I went in and I had already had lunch, so I didn't eat there. But I walked in there and looked around, and the food looked great. It smelled great. It was beautiful. And as it turns out, if you ever want to go to this place, you don't have to go to the museum. You don't have to pay the admission to the museum if you just want to pop in and have lunch. The restaurant opens at 10 o'clock every day. It's called Fig. And like I say, I do plan to go sometime just for a meal.
Lola's one of our favorite restaurants.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And this, like I say, I had in fact, even though we had lunch, we almost got something there because the food smelled so good.
So architecturally, the Luminarium, which is defined as a piece of art you can walk through, how's the structure?
Oh, it's not a complicated structure, but it's a beautiful structure. So it's both utilitarian and attractive. There are places where the second floor doesn't cover the whole interior. The second floor is more of a mezzanine, if you will. So there are places where you can see all the way to the top of the roof, and it's a pretty tall building for just 2 levels. And like I say, it's not complicated. It's pretty utilitarian, but yet it's beautiful in the way they designed it. And I got to tell you, one of the things they did an outstanding job of doing with the design was they integrated it into the river. So there are many places where you see the river. In fact, there was one exhibit where they were teaching something or other where you looked through some screens that
make the river look blue?
Were filtered, and it made the river look blue.
No way.
But then one of the screens made it look pink. One of it looked yellow. But they do a good job. The Lewis and Clark Landing, the river is integrated into it. And then if you look out through some other windows, you have great skyline views.
You can see the river without any floaters in it.
Fortunately, there was nothing that we don't want floating in the river that floated by while we were there. But go see it, folks.
So get
it's
online
really cool.
and reserve a time. That's the best way to do it.
All right. Let's keep going with our news of the week, brought to you by Eagle Mortgage. There's just so much to talk about this week. We're going to split it in 2. And the next story is the NET Work Spot. So call it the Network Spot. Opened Monday at 2516 North 24th Street, in the heart of Old North Omaha. And the business is described as a co-working space with concierge service, where it's a place where solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, and business professionals can network and discover their next big idea. The Network Spot occupies a bay in the same building as Styles of Evolution clothing store and Stable Gray marketing business.
Solopreneur was a term that I had not seen before because I did read the newsletter.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You're welcome. And solopreneur is like,
unlike last week,
I think people just sell things to themselves. I'm not sure what a solopreneur is.
A solopreneur would be an entrepreneur who has no staff. So it's like you're all solopreneur and no staff instead of you're all
online or in person, I'm sure.
Yeah. So most people start out as solopreneurs if they're going to be an entrepreneur. But a solopreneur is just one person. So once you hire someone, then you're no longer a solopreneur. But you're a bipreneur. We need or a try. We need a space like this in North Omaha.
Omnipreneur.
Actually, there's going to be another project very close to that where North End Teleservices is going to build its new office, and there's going to be some residential in that space. So we've got some good.
That's the lady that is president of the chairman of the board of the city of the chamber.
Yeah, Carmen Tapio. Yeah, she is chair of the Greater Omaha Chamber this year.
She's invested well in North Omaha.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's going to have a real positive impact on what we're trying to accomplish in redeveloping that 24th Street corridor. The University of Nebraska Medical Center plans to demolish 3 vacant properties along Leavenworth by the end of this month. So explain what this is all about. UNMC purchased 3 properties. They're all single-family houses. They're just kind of right there along Leavenworth. You know, they're a little bit west of Barrett's Barley Corn, a little bit east of Broncos. Of course, here on Grow Omaha, we find everything in relationship to restaurants and food, but they're just kind of sitting there. And so they're going to tear them down, and UNMC is just going to use them for green space and parking for now. And the thought is eventually down the road, as they grow and grow and grow, they might need that space.
Better than fixing up homes that are 100 years old.
And, you know, I mean, who wants to, I mean, a lot of these, the front door is about, 6 inches from Leavenworth.
And next to a bar.
And speaking of that bar, it's called Barrett's Barley Corn Pub and Grill, and then also Castle Barrett's. UNMC owns several vacant storefronts on either side of Barrett's, and there are no immediate plans to demolish those at this time. For now, UNMC is going to kind of make some minor investments so that maybe they could be used by some businesses. But again, those are kind of there for them to grow and develop. And also, just so you know, this has nothing to do with what we talked about last week. Last week, we were talking about some street improvements along Leavenworth closer to Saddle Creek to accommodate the increased additional traffic flow into the future Saddle Creek campus. This is completely separate and further east from that project. But UNMC continues to do very good things, and we're really excited about the future there. The Collective, a co-working space, has opened in Regency Landing. Now, Regency Landing is this redevelopment of an existing area on the northeast corner of Interstate 680 and Pacific Street. According to the company's website, the Collective offers private offices, designated desks, and hot desks in a fully equipped, versatile office setting.
I've heard of heated chairs, but
I figured as soon as that's why I emphasized the term hot desk, because I figured it would catch your attention and you would want to know what it is.
I know desks that go up and down. There's people in our office that have the standing desk, ergonomic, or what do they call it?
I don't think that's what a hot desk is. I'll be honest. I don't 100% know.
I
But
bet you it's that you can plug and play. Like
hoteling.
Well, it's probably got screens.
Yeah.
And a computer, your laptop, you just plug it in and go.
Yeah, I think we're on the same wavelength there. It's probably one that you can just pop in and use it.
Shaker Place has become Regency Landing. The fine folks at Access Commercial are well into that development. And they got some good restaurants down there and pickleball. They got enclosed pickleball now.
Yeah, that has turned out pretty nice. Archwell Health plans to open 3 primary care centers in Omaha to provide health care to Medicare-eligible senior citizens. It's headquartered in Nashville, Tennessee. Kind of has a different, maybe a non-traditional approach to healthcare services. They are going to build 3. We know one of them will be somewhere along North 90th Street. I personally don't know where because their press release didn't say.
They didn't say how big they were, did they?
And in terms of square footage?
Yeah.
No, but I'll give you a hint. The second one is going to be in the former Hancock Fabric Store at Westgate Plaza. So if you can picture how big that is, that's how big they're going to be. Does that help?
It sounds like 15 to 20.
I would think that'd be pretty big, yeah. So these are...
What about Lincoln?
It didn't say in the press release anything about Lincoln. They currently operate 30 centers, and they are located in Birmingham, Alabama, Charlotte, Kansas City, Oklahoma City, St. Louis, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Las Vegas.
Interesting.
So, yeah, it'll be fun to keep our eye on that. I think it's, it's nice to keep adding to the healthcare presence.
I think Omaha is well taken care of. If you want to get healthy, there are plenty of resources.
And if you want to get sick, it's a good place to be sick, but we urge you to stay healthy.
Most people don't want to get sick unless they're a bug chaser.
Don't get sick. All right. Have you ever heard of Video King here in Omaha?
I thought it was in Council Bluffs.
It's in Omaha. We actually interviewed them on the show once many years ago. It's a cool business. They provide
$59 million they sold for or something?
Well, it's they sold to a company out of Las Vegas called Everi, E-V-E-R-I. I think it's Everi.
Fusion Bingo.
Everi Holdings of Las Vegas. They entered into a purchase agreement, and Everi is going to purchase the majority of this Omaha-based provider of electronic bingo gaming tablets, video gaming content, instant win games, and related systems. It'll be a $59 million deal, is expected to close within 2
I can't picture where
months.
their offices are.
It's kind of by Nebraska Furniture Mart. At least I know that's where they used to be because I visited their offices.
Okay. Vaguely remember.
Before we had them on Grow Omaha years ago, I visited their office and they gave me a tour. It was a really cool
Ladies
operation.
and gentlemen, we've had about 1,000 shows, so every once in a while we forget who we have on.
So Video King is currently licensed in 60 jurisdictions. This is expected to help them expand more. And they did about $25 million in revenue in 2022. And this comes from an installed base of more than 50,000 portable electronic bingo tablets that they have underway and going on right now in tribal casinos, commercial casinos, charitable bingo halls, military bases, and cruise ships.
Party animals. Do we know if they're going to keep their presence in Omaha?
It sounds like they are, and it sounds like they will continue to do what they do. They're just going to be part of a bigger company and probably have some deeper pockets in which to grow and expand.
Isn't it amazing these big Omaha businesses, relatively big, that people just don't really know exist?
Pretty cool. There's tons of them all over the place. Good businesses that are making a big difference.
If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.